We're back.
Episode 44.
44.
Yep.
Let's go.
Wow.
Most famous number 44. We did this up to 99.
Most famous.
Like sports.
Sports number.
Yeah.
Brooks Orpik was number 44, but he wasn't that famous.
That was a good call. 44. I can't think of any.
Derek Watt.
Honestly, I have no idea. Zach?
That's all I got.
Who's a famous 44? We have a podcast studio today, too. Audience. We have a
Live
podcast
audience.
studio
Live
audience. Yeah.
audience.
Who's a good 44? Our father's also in the studio today as well.
He's in the nosebleeds.
He really is, the popcorn section. But we are here with Second Lieutenant Lauren Mullen,
Hi, everybody.
my sister, and recent graduate of officer training school.
Yes, I was in Alabama for the last 2 months. So, last 8.5 weeks, I was
Bama.
an Alabama resident. And never been to Alabama before, so it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So that's your full official title.
Yes, second lieutenant.
Okay.
Yep.
What sparked the initial thought to even do the Air Force? Because us as a family, I think all of us
Yeah.
were kind of taken back by it, thinking that you would be overseas and doing crazy things. But
Yeah.
what was the initial thought of it?
So we don't have any military family, like at all in our family. So it's usually like a generational thing for a lot of people. Like a lot of people just know whenever they can start like talking, their parents, grandparents are on the military. So it's just kind of a rite of passage. But honestly, like I thought about it in high school, like going in, enlisting first, and then getting my nursing degree that way. But then Coach Kelly called, so I didn't have to. And I'm grateful
You were
that
on that big kick. Yeah, I do remember that. You were on the big kick of I'm going to be in the military. And
yeah, because you moved out, and then it was terrible, and I didn't adjust to that very well. And I was like, I'm just going to join the military and run away from everybody. And everybody thought it was a phase, but it wasn't.
it's not a phase, Mom.
It's not a phase. But then I was kind of going back and forth of if I was going to play my 5th year of basketball, like all year. And then towards the end of the season, I knew I wasn't coming back. I was like, oh no, I have to start looking for a job. And there wasn't any jobs in Pittsburgh that was like jumping out at me. Like nothing really excited me. And my roommate, Jenna, she was so excited. Like she was moving to Pittsburgh and she was just so excited. And I was like, nothing is like exciting. Like nothing is catching my eye or, you know. And then I got an email. It all started with an email. And it was like, do you want to go back to school or do you like want to move to, it was like Scottsdale was one of them. Tampa was another one. And that was like the eye catcher, you know. And I was like, yeah, like that sounds cool. So then I called the guy and then he was just kind of selling me the Bible, you know. It was pretty cool. And I was like, this sounds pretty awesome.
All through an email.
Yeah.
Just a random email.
Just a I woke up one day and it was at my school email. Like it got sent through my school email and I was like, huh. Because I was looking into the Navy first. And remember I was going to go to just like a recruiter's office and see like what the Navy could offer. And then something happened and it fell through. Like I literally drove to the recruiter's office and I got lost and I couldn't find it. And it was like it just felt weird. It was like,
It was a sign.
yeah. And I just didn't go. I didn't go to the meeting and just kind of like blew that recruiter off.
It's very nice.
And that, I know, that was really bad. But then, then the Air Force emailed me and then that guy answered and he, you know, answered all my questions and, you know, explained everything to me because like I didn't know anything. So, and that's what I was looking for. And he did.
So what caught your eye the most out of that email was the education past doing the program?
Yeah, it was like mainly offering the ability to go back to school and go all across the United States and not have to like stress or worry about anything. Because I knew I wanted to move out of Pittsburgh for a little bit, but I didn't know how because, you know, it's expensive.
What caught your eye was the recruiter talking about school and the ability to move. What didn't you like about the nursing jobs that were around Pittsburgh? Because I feel like that's the path for a lot of nurses is you go through nursing school and you get a job in your hometown. What didn't you like about that?
It was all comfortable for me. Like coming home, like I worked at Children's Hospital last summer and I did really like it. And I was like coming home, living at home and, you know, trying to start your career. It was just all like comfortable. And I was just kind of bored of it, you know, it was like nothing new and exciting. So I didn't want to get too comfortable here. Cause I knew that once like I did get comfortable here, like I would just be here for the rest of my life and I wouldn't move away or like, you know, go see what else is out there kind of.
And it's hard to go back to school too, I think.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Which is really big.
Right. And that was a big part too, is like they are very like promotion driven. So they're always going to be pushing you like in a couple years if you don't go back to school, like they're either going to be like you need to start going back to school now or, you know, think about other career options. Like it's constantly like pushing you to like level up. And it's like if you like the nursing career field can get very stagnant and I didn't want to get caught in the all of that part of the nursing career and get stuck in one way and be there for 25 years. And it just you're constantly like either your rank's going up or you're going back to school or there's always like a promotion that you're like chasing to get. So that part was like exciting for me because it was like you're constantly chasing something.
Yeah.
So.
Versus if you're here around Pittsburgh, you're kind of a nurse, just
right
helping out and stuck at the RN position.
Which is great, you know. But I just didn't want to get stuck.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing. I didn't want to get stuck. And I knew that if I came to Pittsburgh and I started working at Children's that I would love it. Like I did when I worked there. I loved it and I probably would have never left, you know, and never seeked a different opportunity to do something different, you know.
Nice.
Because it was like you have this nursing degree that gets you really far and it gives you a lot of different avenues to go down. But I just didn't want to have nursing be like my only avenue, you know? So opening opportunities.
That's a good way.
Take us through once you made your decision that you wanted to commit, what happened next? What does that look like, that process? Telling your parents, telling Alex?
Oh, yeah, that was definitely interesting. I waited a little bit, and I kind of was, like, trying to figure it out before I told anybody. But I was just so excited to tell, like, you guys all that it was offering. And I remember I called Dad, and he was, like, immediately just starts asking all these questions and I'm like, oh no, I don't know. So then just kind of being that dad, the dad aspect of like, well, what happens if this happens or what happens here? Or, you know, like why do you want to do this? And I think it scared them at first, but I think they could tell that I was passionate about it and that I was just so excited and they kind of like fed into that a little bit. And I remember calling you and you were like asking me all these questions. You're like, well, it does sound like pretty cool. And yeah, so I just called them from school and I was like, I think I'm going to join the military. And they were like, what? Like came out of left field. But
it's funny when you explain it to people too, that you're in the Air Force as a registered nurse.
Right.
I think you could clarify a little bit on that. What it means to be enlisted, what it means to go through the school that you went through. Because I think a lot of people, whenever they hear, I'm joining the Air Force, they think full-on Air Force overseas. So explain what you went through school-wise and how you're now where you're at.
Yeah, so I went to Edinburgh for 4 years, and I got my BSN, and I am a registered nurse in Pennsylvania. And then I went to officer training school. So there's basic training for the military, and then there's officer training. They're different. And basic training is whenever you enlist, and like usually like fresh out of high school, young airmen is the enlisted side, and then the officer side you have to have a degree, and it's more of leadership training than basic training, where basic training is they're making you military minded, like all of the falling in line and all of the stuff you see in the movies a little bit. But there was a little bit of that in officer training. Like the first week, they are trying to there was a word they used. It was like, I forget the word, but it was basically like adopting you into the military culture. So they're teaching you how to march. They're yelling at you. There's all these different procedures for entering the cafeteria, which is called the DFAC. And there's a specific way to do everything. And the first couple weeks, they are really heavy on it. Like your uniform has to be, they're completely in regs. And like your room has to be inspection ready, which was hard for me.
What's regs for people that might not know?
Regs is like, there's a really long document that has all of the uniform regulations, and it just specifies like every little detail that has to be within the regulations. So your haircut, or for girls, how you wear your hair, like what shoes and how you like blouse your pants, and like your zippers and everything have to be like tucked away. Like as I'm looking, sorry. As I'm looking, like my zippers are.
Are you not in regs right now?
I am. I may or may not be wearing my slippers. But yeah, no, I would not be in regs right now. But nobody sees my shoes, so technically I'm in regs.
Technically, you're in regs. Everything's all in regulation there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it teaches you discipline right off the bat. Was it
right off the bat? Yeah.
How hard of a challenge was that? No one ever we've never went to a school where we had to wear a uniform or live by that way.
Yeah. Honestly, like that part, I was fine with falling into that culture, because I played college basketball where it was everyone wears the same uniform. Everyone is always on the same page. So like that part wasn't that hard for me. But more of like the marching around was hard for me, and the room the room inspections and everything, that was really hard for me because I'm not a neat person.
No, she is not.
No, I'm not a neat person. So that part of OTS was a little rough in the beginning, and the days were really long sometimes because we weren't allowed to know the schedule. So the first couple weeks we had no idea what the schedule was, and it made us like be on our toes all the time. And they would be like, all right, you have to be ready in 5 minutes. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then if you don't do it, like start over. Like, all right. And then they start counting down, and you're like, okay. So that part was really long because your day starts at 4 a.m. when you wake up. And then sometimes you're not even going to bed until 11:30, and you're like, it makes you feel drunk,
Yeah, not having sleep.
4 a.m. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be doing that.
That was hard for me because it was really early because it's still dark out, and you wake up at 4 a.m. and you have to go do physical training in the morning. And yeah, it was a little hard because you would have and then the thing would come over they would play like sirens over the PA system in the dorms, like the first couple weeks. So you would have to set your alarm to like wake up a little bit before that, so you don't get like abruptly woken up by the overhead PA. But that was a fun part of it.
That first week, I think, was a little bit of a challenge for you.
Yeah.
With the 11 o'clock by bed, and then waking up 5 hours later.
Yeah. That part was hard because the first couple of days, like you're trying to get your room inspection ready. So like you have to have all of your t-shirts rolled. You have to have all of your socks rolled.
Josh, do you have that t-shirt?
Oh yeah.
Give it a little.
yeah.
So that's what you have to make your t-shirts look like.
Yes. There's no can in here. It looks like there's like a tomato soup can, but this is just like a Gildan t-shirt. This almost put me out, you know, this trying to learn this almost put me out. What was one of the hardest things of all of OTS was learning how to roll a shirt, for sure.
What about pants?
Pants, you don't have to roll those. You hang them, but you have to hang them a certain way. So they came up with sayings like hook left, fly right. So you put the hook left and then you put the zipper and the fly to the right and then you hang it that way. So you get used to it. But it was hard because it would be like 11 at night and I'm trying to get my room inspection ready and a t-shirt could bring you to tears. You're like, what the heck? And the first week I was under the impression that I was in the 5-week course because for medical teams, if you're in the med group, you can enroll in the 5-week class. So I told all of my loved ones, I'll see you guys in 5 weeks. Just a little bit over a month. And then I get there and they check my orders and it says I'm enrolled in the 8-week class. So the first week I was like, oh my, this is not what I thought. I thought I was going to be here for 5 weeks. 8 weeks seems like a crazy difference. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm really glad I was in the 8-week class and not the 5-week. But that was a shock for me as soon as I got there. So as I'm trying to figure out how to be in the military, I also found out that I wasn't going home when I thought I was. So it was definitely a long first week.
Was the schedule like 7 days a week? Like you had any days off or was it just?
So I'm trying to think back to the first week. The first week, yeah, it was 7 days straight. And then on the weekends, like you still would have PT in the morning. So you're still waking up at 4 a.m. for PT on Saturdays and Sundays. But the first couple weeks on Sundays, we had religious accommodations. So from like 8 to 12, you could go to church, like a church service, whatever your religion is. But my church service was extra sleep. So I would sleep a little bit during that time. So that was like, you looked forward to Sundays for that reason. So, and then we would have like a few lectures or briefs that we would have to go to on the weekend. So it was less, but was still
going on.
Yeah. No breaks for that.
So the type of people that were also there, you said all had a college degree. Mm-hmm. So, and then there was also people from different branches of the military. Mm-hmm. So talk about some of the people that were there that were different.
Yeah. So everybody there had a 4-year degree of, it could have been online. It could have been anything. That's one of the prerequisites you need. But some people did switch over. Like there was a few from the Navy. I think 1 or 2 from the Marines, and then a couple from the Army. So it's just like applying and getting accepted, because it is hard to get accepted into OTS. Like it can take years.
Really?
Yeah.
What are some of the requirements that you think are hard for other people to get in?
You have to have like all of these letters of recommendations. Like you're building you have to build a profile to get accepted. So like a lot of the prior enlisted individuals, they would have like profiles of letters of recommendations from higher ups, or like a stacked resume of just a lot of like amazing things to give you that competitive edge to get in. So for that, it is a lot harder. Obviously, like we know nurses don't struggle to find jobs. So nursing isn't as, I would say, like you're probably not going to get turned away, as a nurse.
Any nurses?
So it just, the process does take a while. And for some people, like they'll get turned away. They're not ready yet. And then like I know some people, it took like 8 years for them to get in.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And during that time, were they still serving?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So they just keep building their resume, waiting for their time. So it was really cool, just like the people that were so grateful to be there. You know, like it is a volunteer job. Like we all willingly were volunteering for it. So it was really cool. Like everybody is there because they want to be there. And they want to transition from enlisted to the officer life. And because a lot of them were inspired by either really good officers or not so good ones, you know. So
yeah, what you learn from and decide you want to be a better officer because of it.
Yeah, so it was really cool being around those people that have experienced like things that us Americans have no idea what goes on.
Right.
You know, and it's like these people have experienced crazy things. So it was really cool getting to know that side of America pretty much.
Yeah. That kind of takes us into a interesting question I had. Do you think that the U.S. should require military service?
I think that that's a good question. I don't think they should require it because I think that's what makes America so great is people volunteer to do it and people are passionate and everybody is there because they want to be there, not because they have to be there.
Coach Tomlin, I want volunteers, not hostages, right?
That's right.
Exactly. And I think you get the most out of people whenever, you know, they're passionate about their job and there's just that part of the job where you can't teach somebody heart, you can't teach somebody to care and to serve all of us, you know, like you can't teach that. So do I think like, yeah, we could do that and it would make our forces that much stronger because we would not have like struggle or like not meet recruiting needs. Like, yeah, that would solve that problem. But then it's like you're not getting the quality of the individuals that want to be there.
Right. Yeah. Initially, when I came up with that question or when I started thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I think we should. But then I watched something and it was like, well, you don't want, you know, people that don't want to be there necessarily. So I agree with it
a little bit.
Yeah.
Although there could be some potential benefits, but there'd be some negative effects too.
I think it would bring out it would teach people a lot of things, but a lot of people aren't teachable sometimes either, and they would probably be there against their will and not willing to learn.
Yeah.
But that's
I think like if you don't really have a set plan of where you want to be in the next like 5 years of your life and you don't really have it mapped out, I think it is a great experience for those individuals. Like it's
talk about the experience of training. Is it like the movies?
A little bit. Like you'll get yelled at, you'll get smoked a little bit. But it wasn't that bad, you know. I played sports, so getting yelled at for me from coaches is just something I was used to.
And father.
And father. Yeah, he was really good at that. But it made the transition that much easier, honestly, because I'm just standing there as I'm getting smoked, just staring at them in their eyes, and I'm like, all right, this is kind of fun. Like I was like, I haven't got yelled at like this in a while, so it was kind of fun. But
you got ripped into?
Yeah, I did.
Explain why you got ripped into. I know the story. I remember when you called me and told me I got ripped into.
Yeah.
You didn't tell mom and dad. But
yeah. So we had these little books and they're like this big and they're it's called the Talon and it has a bunch of like history in it, bunch of different like it explains the different planes and stuff in picture form, and then it also has like the OTS mission, the Air Force mission, the Air Force song, like a bunch of different information. And any time that we were in line, if we weren't marching, we were reading it. And like you have to put it like this far in front of your face and your arm gets so tired. But you kind of get used to it a little bit. But what happened to me was I'm trying to think. Okay, so we had a room inspection. We were transitioning up into, I think, the third mod. We were going into the third mod. And it was right after the Blue Line ceremony, which is they line us all up across this big, long blue line. And it was after the first 3 weeks we were there. And it's basically like, if you don't want to do this, you can back out. And, no questions asked. We'll help you pack your bags and you can go. And everybody stands behind this line, and then there's like a speech, and they do all the things, And then they're like, all right, if you're ready to accept this challenge of being an officer and leading young airmen, then you can step across the blue line. And everybody stepped across the blue line, and then we had immediate smoke show. Like all of the instructors, they took us back to our dorms, and we had to stand outside of our dorms. And we have to read the Talon as we're out there. And my guy comes over and he grabs a Talon out of my hand and he's like, "What are you reading?" And I told him I was on a page that I was studying for the last couple of days because I had a little birdie tell me this was coming. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be prepared. Like, I'm ready. And I have it. And he's like, "What are you studying?" And I tell him, and he's like, all right, explain it to me. And then I explained it to him, and it wasn't word for word. And it was like, what's the OTS mission? And that part wasn't in the Talon. So the first part I got, and I was like, oh, I got him. Like, I got him. I'm ready. And then he hit me with, what's the OTS mission? And that part wasn't in my studies. So I was like, oh my God. And he just started tearing into me.
Did you try to BS, or did you just tell him, I don't know the OTS mission?
No, I said it. I said the first part. And then he's like, what else? And then I just stood there. And then he was like, what else? And I was like, I repeated the first part again, and he was like, you are missing a crucial part. And I was like, oh, here it comes. And then he just starts tearing into me. He's like, you don't even know why you want to be here. If you don't want to be here, you shouldn't have crossed that blue line. Da, 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 da. And I was like, just standing there, like at attention, just looking at him, just getting smoked. And it lasted for about probably 45 seconds where he was just going in about how, like, I'm not fit. You're unfit to be an officer. Why are you even here? What are you doing here? And then he like circled back again, and he came back, and then he asked me another question, and I got that one right. And then he like left me alone after that. So like, if you're on your stuff, they're not going to bother you, but it's the moment you slip up. One slip, they're like, fresh blood, here I go.
It's how you react, though. You react well.
Right.
It's what you do after it happens.
Right. And honestly, like, I went back into my dorm, and I just like giggled a little bit. I was like, oh, that was kind of funny. But yeah, that was the one time. I'm trying to think of other times, but like through the DFAC, like I would get distracted sometimes because like a little ADHD would kick in. I'd be like, oh, squirrel, and I wouldn't be like, as focused, and my feet wouldn't be together. And like the one time I was like cracking my ankle, and this guy comes by, he's like, why are you standing on your ankle like that? I was like, oh no. I just put my foot back and just kept going about my life.
Take us through the morning schedule though. So you wake up in the morning, you have PT.
Yeah.
Physical training, correct?
Yeah. So I would wake up. This is my every day. I would wake up, my alarm would go off at 4:02. And then I would lay there for a little bit, and then I would get up. I would turn the light on at like 4:09, and then I would get out of bed by 4:17. And then I knew once I got, because you sleep in your PT gear. That's your pajamas. So like, you basically roll out of bed kind of ready. You just kind of have to put your hair together and then go outside. So by it was like usually 4:20. I was basically ready to go, and then you kind of step outside your room by 4:25, and then you line up at 4:30 to march to the track, and then you work out until like 5:45, and then either march back to like do hygiene and shower and stuff, or you go to breakfast. Like the breakfast, lunch, and dinner dining priorities, they were called DPs. They would change all the time. So you just kind of had to plan your day around your DPs. So the mornings could change, but for the most part, every day you wake up, PT at 4:30, and then after that, it can vary.
Yeah, which is where it was like they put you through either classroom learning or like what was some of the breakdowns?
Yeah, so
with what you were doing as a group.
Yeah, there were a lot of academics involved that I didn't really think it was going to be as academic heavy. Like the second module, it was all briefs. Like we would be in different briefs from Probably like 7 a.m. to like 5, I would say. Like just all day long, all of these different briefs. And you sit there and like there's this thing called the sleep monster. And it really tries to get you. Like I never thought I would be the one that's like gonna fall asleep in class, especially when you have a major like who is explaining.
And briefs are essentially like you're going to class.
Yeah, briefs are like lectures. They just refer to them as briefs, and they would all be like broken down into different categories of. They'd be like leadership classes, or I'm trying to think. There was like some like different briefs, like China briefs, Russia briefs, like basically just kind of getting your toes wet into the military life. So the sleep monster would come, and there's a major up there presenting like this information, like a top dog, and you're sitting there like trying so hard to fight this like sleep monster. And I was like, wow, I never thought I would be the type to like not be able to stay awake and just lose all bodily control, but you do.
I was the type in college. So.
No, like that was never me. Like I would go through all of my nursing classes and never like genuinely like couldn't keep my eyes open sometimes.
It was just hitting you.
Yeah, and we couldn't. You were allowed coffee, but our first instructor of my flight, he said, "You guys won't get coffee or snack privileges until you all can tell me everyone in our flight's name and their occupation." So the first week we were all like studying everybody's name, and it was like you had all this pressure on you. Like if one person messes up,
How many people?
Our flight started out with 15 people, and then we graduated with, I think, 13.
Okay.
13 in our flight. Yeah. So it was like, all right, get to know everybody real quick, and if you mess up, then you're taking everybody's coffee privileges away, and that is not.
Pressure's on.
Coffee, boy.
Yeah, no, it was very needed. It was very needed to get through all of the long lectures and briefs and all of that stuff.
But whenever it wasn't a brief or lecture, you guys were on the course, correct? You got to do the courses together as a team?
Yeah, there were a lot of like other cool things, different like events, I would say. Like we had like a 5K the one day, which was like an individual 5K race. And then after that is when you start doing like the team stuff where you're like carrying rucks or you're running around doing all of the different team activities. So like they were sprinkled in there. It wasn't all lecture. Like there was a lot of other cool stuff too.
But you finished second in the 5K, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Second's the first loser, rookie Bobby.
Yep, I was the first loser. Me and this
We're
girl.
joking. It's still awesome.
Yeah,
though.
no, me and this girl. I started out too hot. I'm not good at pacing myself, and I was like, oh, 5K, like it's fine, like it's all flat, it's Alabama. And then there was this one little hill. Like I'm from Pittsburgh. Hills should not be a problem. But there was this one little hill, it was probably like 20 feet long. She just cooked me on it, and then I couldn't catch her after that. And then I finished second. But
did you have to do anything like physically before going to like prepare for this, or were you kind of already like ready to go?
Yeah. You have a physical test. Like I think it was like the second or third week we were there, and you have to like pass that. So I was just kind of training. It's just running, push-ups, and sit-ups. Okay. So I would just kind of like, I would go to Crunch Fitness and work out that way like I used to, and then just do like a little bit more of like push-ups and stuff. But it wasn't like I was like training for like a half marathon or anything.
How hard was it for you to transition from not playing basketball?
Yeah, that was
regular everyday life.
Not playing that transition, it was definitely different. Like I felt like I didn't have structure in my life, and I struggled with that a lot. Like I had no structure, and it was like I'm not working out for a purpose anymore. Like now it's like, okay, now you're just working out for you. And I was like, ugh, I kind of hate it. It's like there's nothing I'm training for. You're just training to like not get diabetes. Like I don't. You know what I mean?
You had
like
a little purpose again.
Yeah, I needed a little purpose, like a little structure. So that was another reason.
Now going through it all, doing all of the training school, do you feel a different appreciation for the country and for everything that's all involved with service?
Oh my God, yeah. It just exposes you to like so many different things. Like the people that were there, I was the youngest. So I was the youngest age, and everybody else that was there with me had wives and kids or husbands at home. And I was like, wow, you guys are sacrificing so much to be here. And I just had such like admiration for the moms who like had to leave their 3 and 5-year-olds at home for 8 weeks and go and do what's best for them to support their family. And I was like, that is some badass stuff, you know?
Right.
And
What was the age
so
gap
much
between you and the next closest youngest person?
There were a few 22-year-olds, and then it's like 22, 23, 24, and then you'll have like there was someone in my flight who was 48.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's a lot of different life experiences all in one group.
Yeah. And then I would say the majority were probably like mid 30s or in their 30s. The majority of the people. So like I was there like, you know, just sitting there like trying to take everything in, you know, because these people had just such great life experiences and they can like share, and you just really get to know the people that put the uniform on to defend our country and why, and like the why behind all of them. And it was just like really cool because, you know, we wake up every day, we can do and wear whatever we want, and you never really like think about it because it's all we've ever known. But it's like then you meet those people that make that happen, and it's like, wow, these people are really cool.
Oh yeah.
What was like the coolest moment, if you could pick one?
Oh, okay. The coolest moment. There's this thing called NJET, and it's where they send it's like NATO, and then there's 10 slots every year, and they're sending people from all over to go and train to be fighter pilots. And the one day there was like a couple people like competing for the spot, and just people with like badass resumes, you know. And the one day they were like, all right, brief in 5 minutes, and everybody had to go in the auditorium, and we were like, oh no, like we're getting yelled at, like what do we do? Everybody's looking around like what happened. And the guy walks in, I think it was a major, he walks in, he's like, what do you guys think this brief's about? Basically, like, you know how they'll like bait you into like telling you what you did, you know, it's like, oh, like all right, I'm just gonna own it, like I did it. Well, they're like, all right, what do you guys think? And nobody's like, we don't know. And then all of a sudden he's like, can this person and this person come up? And then we knew immediately, like, because they were the ones competing for the NJET spot. Mm-hmm. And they were like, these two received the go-ahead to go. And they got accepted into the program. And it was the coolest experience. Like, I was just, I almost cried. I didn't really know the guys at that point. But I was like, this is so cool. Like, they were really really awesome people, and just being able to see them like accomplish their dream of going and flying fighter jets, like it was so cool. I was like cheering, smiling ear to ear, and I was like, this is so cool. Just being able to see people like reach their dream. That was definitely the coolest part for me.
That's awesome. They sent both.
Yeah, they sent 2.
Both.
They sent 2. There were some other people competing for it, but yeah, they accepted 2, and that's 2 out of 10 slots just for my class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, and that's the whole year, correct? Mm-hmm. For that whole year?
I think so. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
How were they as like people? Were they like just
awesome people,
cool and collected?
Awesome people.
Was it Maverick from Top Gun?
Basically, yeah.
Them,
basically,
like,
no. I literally was. I was like a fangirl because I don't know anything about military planes or anything, but I'm just there fangirl. Like, you guys really flying like those fast pointy planes. Like, oh my god, that's so cool, you know. And just knowing that they're gonna go through that training and be with other people from all over the world it was really cool.
I'm not sure there's more badass job than being a fighter pilot.
No, literally.
I think we
talked about that before.
No money involved in a job that you could just do and be fine for the rest of your life. I think fighter pilot was like one of them, just to fly those jets around.
Yeah.
Cool planes, but
isn't that part of the goal after going through? Is you eventually want to become a flight nurse? Is that still in the cards?
Like I said, going through this experience, if I could go back, I'd be a pilot in a heartbeat. Like, those pilots are so cool. Like, I was like, you guys are so cool. Like, I just thought they were the coolest things. But yeah, that is definitely something that I would want to do, to be a flight nurse and be on a flight team.
What's a flight nurse do for everybody out there?
You're in the helicopters, making sure your patient stays alive from wherever you pick them up until you drop them off at the hospital. Like there's flight nurses in the civilian world.
Right.
So it can be a civilian job too, and you get to wear the cool flight suits, you know?
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I'm trying to think.
Is there any in the States with the Air Force that you could still stay in the 50 states and be a flight nurse?
Yeah, they're actually out of the Pittsburgh. I think it's the 911. It's a reserve unit. But they have a med team. So yeah, their med teams there can be med teams everywhere, I think.
Nice. So now,
but you have to go through training to be a flyer. It's like survival training. So I would have to go through another I think it's like 3-week training.
you have to jump out of a plane or a helicopter.
I don't know that you're really not allowed to talk about it.
That's
so
fair.
People don't.
Classified.
No. I don't know it. Nobody tells me classified anything. But like the people who have been through it, it's like you don't want to take that experience away from someone else. So you don't really tell. Like they'll tell you you have to kill a rabbit and then cook it. And I was like, oh God, I don't know if I could kill a rabbit and then cook it with a rock.
Gotta survive.
Whack it with a
trap.
stick. Like that might be a little hard for me. But if you're hungry, I'm sure you'll do it.
You'd be fine.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was cool. I was trying to ask all these prying questions about SEER training and everything, but everybody's like, I don't want to take it. I don't want to take the experience away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on?
You should read that.
What do we got? What do we got going on here?
Oh no. Oh no. What is it?
I was looking at the questions from the Instagram.
Reese is being funny.
What'd he say?
It's about the time that we all lived together. Noah O'Hara wants to know how you met Noah O'Hara.
Oh my gosh. I was blessed to meet Noah O'Hara was my freshman year of college, maybe?
Yeah.
It was probably my freshman year of college. I actually lived with Alex for a little bit. I was his roommate for the first semester, and his other 2 roommates, Drew and Reese. And I would go up there and hang out on the weekends sometimes with you guys, and Noah would be there.
Noah would have his sparkling grape juice.
Yep, he'd have
Hanging
sparkling
out.
grape juice, and we'd be hanging out, chit-chatting and yapping, So, yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. Great guy, great family.
Great family.
So now that you have graduated, you had the chance to pick 4 locations that you wanted to go to post-graduation from OTS.
Yeah.
Fill the people in.
So whenever I was submitting my profile, I was able to pick 4 of my top base preferences. And I picked San Antonio because it was the biggest hospital. And it's where I can get the most experience. So I picked San Antonio. Oh God, I'm trying to remember. Oh, Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas. Travis is in California, and then my last one was Tampa, Florida. And I got my first base preference, so I'll be heading to San Antonio on December 16th.
Nice.
To move there.
Woohoo.
Wow. How long?
Yeah. I signed on for 36 months. So usually you're at your base for 2 years, and then it's all about career progression. So if you can't grow your career at that base, then they're going to move you somewhere else to grow your career, So for me, I can grow my career there, so I think I might be there for that long, but also I'm active duty, so they can send me wherever they want. Pick and throw me.
When did you decide to become active duty? So explain that too as well, because you went in at first where you weren't active duty, right?
No, I was active duty
duty
from the jump. Yeah,
Okay.
always. Yeah. I didn't really understand. I also went into OTS not knowing a single thing.
You studied though. I mean,
I studied, but there was just so much that I didn't know that you aren't going to learn just on your own.
Right.
You have to learn from people. So the whole guard and reserve, I didn't really know much about it. And a lot of people explained that to me. There's a lot of people in the guard, and then in the reserves, you basically get to work 2 jobs. It's cool. The reserves is cool because it's a couple weekends here and there. I don't really know the specifics because I'm active duty, but and then you work a real civilian job, so you get to play both, And I think that's so cool. You get to play military and you get to play civilian life. So it's fun.
That's a good way to look at it.
That would be fun. But no, I'm active duty, so this is my full-time job. And I'm a full-time military. And I will be just a nurse though. Nothing crazy.
Nurse.
We'll have to follow up in episode 2 in like 3 years. See
Right.
how it was.
Texas.
Right. See how Texas was.
Or go to
Yeah.
Texas. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
How so you signed the contract, right,
Mm-hmm.
with them for the 36 months. And then that also grants you then the opportunity to go through the education process where
Yeah.
you can get more schooling. It kind of touch on that and what the Air Force can do for maybe a nurse that wants to go through it and the benefits that it
Yeah,
can provide.
so there's definitely a lot of benefits to join the military. One of them is like I'll be in for 3 years, and then after that I'll have a GI Bill. So if I want to get out of the military and move back home and start going back to school, like without being in the military, I can, because the GI Bill will help with that. But then there's also like you can go back through the military and still be in and go back to school full time, and you're still getting paid while going back to school and not having to worry about it. But you do owe them. I think it's 2 years for every 1 year of school that they pay for. But you're getting your school and you're getting full salary.
Are you leaning
not
one
bad.
way or another currently?
You know, it's so hard because I don't know where I'm going to want to be in 36 months, because at that point I'll be either looking to re-sign or look at different assignments and maybe move somewhere cool like Germany or something. Or if I want to, if it's not for me. But I don't know. It's hard because I don't know where me in 3 years is going to be.
Yeah. I think
I
the
just kinda say-
experience this
yeah.
far has been pretty darn good though for you.
Yeah, it's definitely the coolest thing I've ever done, and definitely the proudest uniform I've ever put on, for sure. I've put on a lot of them, but this one's definitely the coolest.
A lot of basketball uniforms.
Yeah, a lot of basketball uniforms, but this one's definitely the coolest one.
Who was the
Nice.
better athlete growing up between the two of you?
I would say her.
But he always worked way harder than me.
Lauren, and it's funny, is my dad always joked, and he said Lauren's going to be the one that gets the scholarship, always, and it pissed me off to no other end. And it was true. Like I never got paid to play basketball, so I'd say that she was the better athlete. I'll admit that.
Yeah, he was just always, he was just way better. I'll always say that. He just worked so much harder than I did. Like every time we would come home from school every day, and he'd be like, "All right, we're going to work out," and I would be like, "No, no." And then he would be like, "All right, then me and Dad are gonna go," and him and Dad would go, and I'm like, "Okay, fine, now I have to go. I have FOMO." So then it was like, I will like on my own. I'm like lazy at my core. Like I fight it, but I am lazy at my core.
Until you get
And-
there and do it, and then you're
Yeah.
locked in.
Yeah, like my roommate Jenna, she would always encourage me to go work out extra.
Jenna's in the studio audience too
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, she'd be
Shout
like,
out
"Do
to
you want to
Jen.
go shoot today?" And I'm like, "No," but then she like kind of makes you feel bad for like not doing it. And
She's a great friend. Talk about when you get
Yeah.
off the plane back home in
oh my
Pittsburgh
god,
2 days ago.
Oh my god,
and your friends are
no,
there.
literally, I could
Goes
cry.
through
I
the
could cry. So
Sorry
it was
to get emotional.
it
on
was
the
like
podcast.
it was like a long time to be away from everybody, and you just like kind of feel so disconnected because like you're running for like the last 8 weeks, and like you try to stay connected, and my friends are patient with me, thank God, because like sometimes I would just like go ghost for like a little bit, but the travel day was long. I didn't get in until midnight, and I have my hood up. I'm walking through the airport, like I'm tired. And then I see like my friends Jenna and Jules standing in the airport with signs. And the one says, it's like, "So happy you learned how to make your bed." And then the other one was, "Welcome home from rehab." And I didn't see them until like the lady next to me, she starts laughing and I'm like looking up. I'm like, what's going on? And they're just jumping up and down. I was like, oh my God, that's my friends. And then I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, like I'm finally home. And it was really cool. I have great friends, so it was awesome.
The welcome home to
That's
rehab
sweet.
one was hilarious.
Yeah,
I laughed.
I
a lot
couldn't
at
read it, and then like all these people are walking by like laughing, and I'm like, this isn't funny. Like,
You look like Lindsay Lohan.
yeah,
walking through
no,
the
like I
airport with your
actually
hood up.
I looked like I just came home from rehab. Like I was wearing navy sweatpants and like a brown hoodie, and I looked terrible. I looked like I just went through military training for 8 weeks. So
It kind of was like a rehab
Yeah.
of just getting disciplined, though, I guess.
yeah, definitely.
What's the biggest takeaway that you learned from going through the school?
Ooh, biggest
Think
takeaway.
something that you're gonna take with you.
The biggest thing is networking.
Networking.
Yeah, like networking, like meeting people and just like staying connected with everybody, because everybody's gonna go and do their own thing and they're gonna be all over the world. And it's just like super cool to have people in all different parts of the state. So I would probably say that networking and meeting people, and I would say that.
Listening to their story.
Yeah,
and
listening to their
figure out
stories
what they
and
went through.
yeah, and just being able to like still, because like you're trauma bonded, you guys like go through hell together a little bit, and just being able to see, on like follow them on Instagram and be able to keep up with them following their dreams, like that part's really cool. And what else am I gonna take away?
Going through stuff makes stronger friends.
Right. No, it does. Like it was crazy. Like you go in there and you don't know anybody, and then it's like, wow, I don't remember life when I didn't know you. It's kind of how I felt like with Jenna, like I went into college, didn't know her. And then now it's like, I don't really remember life without you,
It's the best of friends.
Love it.
Yeah.
Inspirational.
Yeah. Inspirational. That's me.
Yeah. So San Antonio, you have to report in December.
Yeah.
Looking for apartments and houses and
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to look at different avenues and see what's offered.
you have the
so.
you have the ability to stay off of base, correct? Too.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to be a nurse, they don't have to stay on base. They have the opportunity to live
No,
off base.
and they give you housing stipends and to help you. So you usually, and they're like of the local area, like depending on where you are. Like if you're in California, your BAH house will be higher than
That's nice.
somewhere else. So
You also have the opportunity now. So take us through the silver dollar that you can present to
yeah.
an enlisted. Is it
Yeah.
man or woman that
Yeah.
have?
Yeah.
So what is that like? How does that all work? And what is the? There's a significance behind the $50, right?
yeah, so there are so many different like ceremonies and just little things that the military like thrives on. Like for me, I went into OTS as a direct commission, so I was already wearing my rank. And like medical attorneys and chaplains all go in as direct commission, and then everybody else gets commissioned at the end. So watching people get their first salute and get their bars pinned on them was really cool too. So the silver dollar is for your first salute. So you always have to salute the higher rank. So like if I'm walking past a captain, then I have to salute first, and then you drop the salute when they drop the salute. So enlisted will always be saluting you. And the first salute is like a big thing because it's the enlisted man saluting you for the first time. And there's like a long story about it. It's a really cool story. If you guys want to like read up on it, it's really cool. But you're supposed to give your first salute a silver dollar. And it was like way back in the day. But we were able to see like a lot of people had people fly into Alabama just for their first salute.
Wow. And
it was like really cool because you had these people that literally flew all the way into Alabama just to salute their friend for the first time. And I was like, that is really cool. And that's just like the type of people, that you're what you're with. So it is really cool. So I'm going to go do my first salute after this, actually, because I'm in my uniform. My grandma's friend was enlisted, and he was in the Air Force for a little bit. And I'm going to go surprise him and give him my silver dollar when he salutes me.
And we'll cue to that right now.
We gotta do this right.
You can do it right?
Ma'am, you ready?
No.
Sir?
Wait.
I
got you on $100.
What?
I got you on $100.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know what that is, Mick?
No, what is it?
The silver dollar. It's your first salute. Here.
Really?
She's giving you
Yeah.
her first salute.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm awful proud.
Thank you. Yeah, my first salute. I gave you.
Talk about the patch that you have.
My butter bar.
Is that what it's called? Is that the
No,
nickname
like
for it?
whenever like
Lieutenant.
you get these bars on your service blues, and they're like gold, and people call them butter bars.
Nice. And you can explain. I'm sure it's probably a lot in terms of like the ranking and what it means.
Yeah.
But you had people that were at your graduation ceremony that had a chest that was full of
Oh yeah.
ranks
Yeah.
and
And
different
a
bars.
ribbon rack. It's a ribbon rack.
Ribbon
so
rack.
when you wear your blues, like your
Your blues are
What's
your
that?
dress up.
yeah,
Your
like
dress up clothes.
yeah, your dress, not your fun camo ones. The blues are not fun to wear, but it is pretty cool because you have all of these people with like lengthy ribbon racks where you get ribbons for a bunch of different things. Like if you deploy, you'll get ribbon racks. So there was this one guy who celebrated his 20th year while we were at OTS, and seeing his ribbon rack was really cool. It was like, boom, you know. And I don't know what all of the ribbons mean, and sometimes they don't really remember either. But it is really cool being able to like see everyone's accomplishments and being able to like wear it on your chest proudly. Like me,
Now
I
you
only
have
had one little ribbon, but it was
It's more ribbons than me and Josh have.
Facts.
but it was cool being able to see like everyone with that you got to know over the last 8 weeks, like walk across the march across the parade field.
Nice. I have the story of
Yeah.
the first salute.
Yeah,
Do you want to hear it?
Sure, read
It's
it.
not too long. It's
No,
not too long.
It's really cool.
Get my narrator voice on. The crisp morning air at the Air Force Academy was electric, with anticipation as Second Lieutenant Alex Miller stepped onto the parade field. This is from also Google AI overview, so this might not be 100% accurate, but it's a pretty cool story. His freshly pressed uniform crisp and his heart pounding with a mix of pride and nervous excitement. Today was his commissioning day, the day he would receive his first salute, a pivotal moment in his military career, marking his official transition from cadet to officer. Does this sound like the story? Mm-hmm. Okay. As he marched towards the reviewing stand, eyes scanned the ranks of enlisted personnel, searching for the person who would bestow this honor upon him. His gaze fell upon Senior Airman Sarah Sam Jones, a seasoned mechanic who had been a constant source of support and guidance throughout his training. Sam had a quiet strength and unwavering professionalism that Alex deeply respected, and he knew in his gut that he would be the one to render his first salute. And then it goes on. So like that was kind of it. It was like to a mechanic for the first one, but it's a long story.
Yeah, it is a
little bit more than that,
long
but
story.
It's
and it
cool.
it has something to do with like having not getting paid. It has something to do with pay, because
read
like
more than that.
like the officer makes more than the enlisted man. So like the first salute, like you pay them in a silver dollar.
Do you want
which
me to
was
read
like-
the rest of the
it was
story?
like
It's 3 more paragraphs. Should I go through it? I'll go through
Sure,
it.
why not?
As Alex reached the designated point, Sam, standing at attention, brought her hand smartly to her forehead in a crisp salute. The gesture, simple yet profound, carried the weight of years of tradition and the unspoken bond between officers and enlisted personnel. Alex returned the salute, a wave of emotion washing over him as he realized the significance of the moment. He was now responsible for the lives and well-being of those under his command, including Sam, who had just acknowledged his leadership. Later, away from the ceremony, Alex approached Sam with a small silver dollar in his hand. "This is for you, Sam," he said, explaining the tradition of the first salute, how it symbolized his appreciation for her mentorship and guidance. Sam, visibly touched, accepted the coin, a tangible reminder of the bond they shared and the responsibility Alex now carried. As Alex embarked on his career as an Air Force officer, the memory of that first salute remained deeply etched in his mind, serving as a constant reminder of the trust placed in him and the commitment he made to his fellow service members. It was not just a gesture of respect, but a promise to lead with integrity, compassion, and unwavering dedication to the mission, always honoring that trust that Sam and every enlisted member had placed in him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Sure.
basically as the enlisted men and women are
Yeah. Because now
trusting in
Yep.
you as an officer.
because now you're the one that's making the calls, you know? You're the one that's in charge of their lives. So,
Very cool.
yeah, it was really cool. It's like stuff like that. Like I didn't know any of that stuff before going to OTS, and it's like, yeah, the marching around, which I never really bought into. I just wasn't a good marcher. I just thought it was not for me, you know?
Yeah.
But like
She did it,
all
though.
of the academics, all of the briefs, all of the, you know, tough workouts and rucks and everything was like very much worth it. Very much worth it
It's
for
all
me.
worth it in the end.
As we're
solid.
getting towards the end here, is there one piece of advice you'd give to somebody who was in your shoes a year ago that's kind of on the fence, not sure about it? Any advice to them?
Yeah. I say just do it. If you're on the fence, just 100% dive all in and do it. You know, you don't know what you don't know, and you get to go out and experience a whole different world that you don't get to experience if you don't do it. And then you'll live your whole life like wondering like how different my life would be if I didn't make the jump. So for me, it wasn't a hard decision for me. Like it just felt right. I get to go take care of America's heroes, you know, like doing work that matters. And if you're looking for a purpose for the rest of your life, serving America, I couldn't think of a better one.
Well, I think that's a good closing statement there from Lieutenant Lauren Mullen.
Yeah.
This episode is aired on December 7th too as well, or recorded on December 7th, the invasion of Pearl Harbor as well. So a little bit more significance there too, and take this episode to honor those and everybody that also served and people on that day. But
Yeah.
thank you, Lieutenant Lauren Mullen,
Thank
for
you
your
guys for having
service
me.
and
Thanks
also
for
for
coming
being
on.
on here.
I just had to join the military to finally get on here. Like I just,
We did cue it up. We did say that you would be on
Yeah.
after you went through it all.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, this was fun. This is my first podcast, so I'm a little nervous. It's just
Thought it was great.
No,
What a way to start the Saturday.
it really
Like-
is. And we'll circle back maybe whenever you're in San Antonio
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
in Germany or any Air Force base across the world.
Hey, you never know. You never know. If you guys ever want to come to San Antonio, I heard it's
do it.
fun. I don't know,
We'll see.
but I
think
heard
it
I
is.
heard it's fun.
We'll see. All right,
Yeah, it's
guys.
fun.
Peace.